its goal was to send a message to the Trump administration: wait, you can't do everything. We still have a system of checks and balances, and we're going to be reviewing things like this. You acted too hastily. Instead of saying ready, aim, fire, you did fire and then ready and aim. You cut much too quickly, not with a scalpel, but with a chainsaw. And so everybody acted too quickly. And so the Supreme Court then sent it back to Judge Ali, who then hastily wrote, well, all right, you have until next Monday to do it, not really taking into account the logistics of how you do this. I think the lesson here is that our system of checks and balances is still operating. There are 5 justices of the Supreme Court, even including one who was appointed by Donald Trump, who will hold Donald Trump to account. That's the clear message. The specifics, look, Judge Alito had a point. Should a single district court judge be able to stop a policy of a president? Maybe it should require at least an appellate court decision. Maybe a single judge shouldn't do it. He has a point about that, but he doesn't have a point when he says that judges are irrelevant to this at all and the president can do anything he wants. That simply is not what Hamilton and Madison intended in the Federalist Papers.
But how else would it work, Professor, if it doesn't start with a single district court judge when you're reviewing an executive order? How else would it work?
Well, the courts can appoint a group of judges to sit in cases involving the whole country. Maybe you need some legislation to do that. But there's something that is unseemly about a single judge who, by the way, is shopped for and selected based on what litigants think the outcome will be. At least have a 3-court panel, at least have maybe 5 judges, maybe a multi-district panel, something like that, which would make the decision more legitimate. Right now, many Americans think it's illegitimate to have a single judge selected by one side make a decision. Now, this decision was probably the right one, but you can easily imagine a decision that would be wrong by a single judge, and it would be binding on the whole country.
Well, but I get it. But it's but again, Professor, and again, just help me with this and help the audience as well by extension. It always works that way. With DACA, it starts off with a single venue, then you appeal, right? And then if you can appeal again and get it en banc, you know, with the full complement of 3 appellate judges, and then you can go to the Supreme Court. I don't understand what's unusual about this.
What's unusual is the meantime. What happens in the meantime? Do you put an end? Remember, if the money has to be paid out, it's never coming back. So it's a permanent decision done by one judge, which could easily have been reversed on appeal. So I think a little bit more thoughtfulness has to go into the process by which judges make decisions that are permanent, irrepealable, and affect the whole country and may in the end be wrong. Can you imagine if it was a decision about whether somebody could be executed, for example, irremediable? Now, obviously, that would be immediately appealed. This is very different, but it is capital punishment for $2 billion worth of money of the taxpayers that will never come back. It's not a good analogy, but...
No. It works. It works. I mean, what doesn't work for me is, so Congress passes the Impoundment Act because Nixon tried the same thing. And to me, it sounds spot on in terms of why a president can't do this. You can veto the spending, and then they try to override it. But once it's allocated, where is the precedent for what Alito was saying, which is, if a president doesn't like the spending in an agency, he can stop it? Where does that come from?
The Congress can pass a resolution declaring war, but the president doesn't have to send troops. And I think there are analogies that the president, the executive person who sees that the law must be enforced, can at least partially say, no, we're not going to enforce this aspect of the law. This is a very close question of constitutional interpretation. It's not obvious. But what's unseemly, and what I think Alito focused on particularly, what's unseemly is to have the single judge, may have come from the opposite party, picked by the litigant, making a decision that's irremediable and affects everybody in the country. That just doesn't seem right. It seems to give too much power to unelected judges. And I think that's what basically the Trump administration tried to take advantage of. But I think they got their comeuppance. The Supreme Court said, no, 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 we're going to handle this. We may not handle it perfectly because we're in a rush here and there's time that's ticking, but at least we're sending a message. We're sending a shot across the bow. And that says you're not immune from checks and balances.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.